you ever do any of the like super famous 5-3-1 squat cycles, small off?
I've done 5-3-1, but I have never done small off.
I've done 5-3-1 small off.
Yeah.
And then what's the great? I totally just went blank. The great Russian powerlifting coach that went to the West Side and hung out with Louis Simmons. Shiko. Boris Shiko. So I did some of his programming, which is more all of the lifts, but but all of it's pretty good. I think at the end of the day, like small off will trump 5-3-1 because of frequency.
I think the small off one
for
though
squatting specifically. You mean?
Yeah.
The small. I've never. Shouldn't say never. It's an absolute. Doug teaches me these things. I very rarely see normal human beings get through the small off program without needing a lot of attention from a specialist on their knees at the end.
It's pretty brutal.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
It's one reason I really like the 20 rep program is you don't get into like the super high weights.
Right.
You're somewhere in 60-80%, which is relatively manageable, and it doesn't put like a ton of pressure on your joints. It's really like a core and legs test, and then your brain to get through it.
Much better for general fitness or for CrossFit. Like, I don't know why CrossFit. You see that all the time. That you go to a CrossFit gym and I'm running the small off. I'm like, why are you running?
Why?
That is for a powerlifter or a weightlifter who has like a weak spot of a squat. Like, and it's for someone who's used to lots and lots of that movement. It's not for a CrossFitter.
With her, she's a 48-year-old ex-distance runner. She doesn't need to do small off.
Ever. Ever. There's a lot of things they don't need to do, but definitely not small off. Like, it was hard for me. And that's what I do. But
always trying to find that balance between like what people really need and what they think is super cool and they're like excited to do. It's like you kind of want to give people what they want to do. I'm not thinking that 48-year-old mom in that example was asking to do small off, but like
Travis, I was reading this thing on the internet. Do you know this small off guy?
I do.
I think is he Eastern Bloc? Is he Russian?
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do that. But
do you think this was written for me?
I think any program where it's high frequency, high intensity is going to produce a higher 1RM. But then you got to think about the benefits of squatting. There's so many different benefits, like you said, like the core. Strengthening, especially like for like football players. You're talking about strengthening, the spinal erectors. So like spinal extensors, whatever. But like, there's that benefit too. There's a lot more than just that 1RM. It's the hypertrophy of the muscle groups that you're looking to, get better at. Like if you're a football player, I've got to have a strong torso when I run into somebody. So then you don't need small off all the time because who cares what your 1RM is? It's like, what does your back look like? Is it strong? Is it ready for what's about to happen? Yeah. So if you're a CrossFitter, you don't need, you don't need a 30-pound gain on your 1RM probably. Yeah. Unless you're just complete, just so
Well,
weak.
I think the 1RM thing too, you can, so I squatted 425. That's my best squat ever. And that single one rep in the grand scheme of everything had very little to do with actual strength. It was purely ego. 8 weeks before I said I'm going to squat 4 1/4. And no matter what program I was on, I was probably going to squat 4 1/4.
Probably.
So the training piece to it is more of a confidence builder than like pure strength. Because the next day after I did it, or a week later, there's no way I was squatting 425. It was just like a check the box that I did it. I said I was going to do it. It's kind of a lifetime goal, and now I'm done. And probably my 3, 5, and 20 rep maxes are much more important. I actually think like a double. If you were to like put your dollar in the chalk bucket and say we're going to battle today, I think a double is probably like the best test of pure strength.
It would definitely give you better odds with me than doing a single. Like, double is a totally different ballgame for a powerlifter or a weightlifter.
And they're not that much different on the numbers.
But it will be for me. Yeah, I'm just very good at taking a weight out and doing it one time.
Yeah.
Even if like a front squat, like it was like 20 weeks after I got hip replacement, I did 506 on front squat. But like asked me to double that. Not a chance.
You think it double like 475?
I don't know. Honestly, it's a big difference for me. It is a big difference.
See, I think right now, if I was to test my 1RM, I'd be very happy hitting like 400. Like very happy hitting 400. But I think I could double 365 and feel fairly confident that I could do it.
It makes sense. You're just a way more in shape athlete with a much more, efficient oxidative system than me.
Way I'm built. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw you swim like a mile or whatever in
Jamaica. In Jamaica.
Yeah.
If you at a weightlifting meet, if you miss and then you have to follow yourself, what's the time for that? Is that 2 minutes?
Well, unless someone takes your clock. Normally, 2 minutes.
Yeah, with no fuckery. You got 2 minutes.
Right.
You ever thought about having that as a max? Like a max to test in your gym? Like what can you hit and then 2 minute break and then hit again?
We do that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do a lot of I do a lot of sports specific programming. Like we'll do waves, for example, because a lot of times you'll do your opener and then you'll go up 3-5 kilos, whatever it is, and now you're 12 out. So if you sit there, you're going to be cold and you're definitely going to miss. So you got to start all over. So you get, in some athletes, if they're not conditioned, will freak out because they think they'll get too tired. So we practice that. Then we practice EMOMs or E2 mom, every 2 minutes on the minute. So do, and then we say work up at the end. I give them 3 or 4, sets to work up with 2 minutes.
How much time do you have in between on powerlifting?
A long time, because what happens, like everybody, like it starts at the lowest.
I'll be back at 9 p.m. tonight, guys.
It's so slow. Everyone takes their opening squats, starting from the lowest to the highest. Everybody takes second attempts, lowest to highest, third attempts. So
it goes by attempt. It doesn't even matter what your number is.
It does.
Oh man.
Oh no, it go. I mean, like if you do your first attempt, whoever's got the lowest first attempt starts.
Yeah. But they go all the first attempts.
Then all the second.
So they unload the bar.
Yeah.
The bar doesn't just keep going up; it gets unloaded.
Not good for me, because I like to train faster like that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I loved the IWF World Championships. It moves real fast. Like they don't mess. Their loaders It was like we were done with the whole competition. It was like 2 or 3 hours total, and I'm like, wow. I crushed. It was like that was like a PR meet at the time for me.
When you're incorporating, do you even focus on having like a squat heavy cycle in training, or do you use just general strength?
No, I do. Definitely, squatting is much more is a good indicator if someone's going to get better at weightlifting. Pulling is too, but squatting is going to be more of a indicator. So like if I have 20 weeks, we're going to try to peak the squat at week 12, giving 8 weeks to, at that point, I don't focus as much on the 1RM. I focus more on power, production, and speed, and then I focus on 1RM of the snatch and clean and jerk.
Yeah.
So we, I know if Ryan's squat goes up, which it has, that snatching and clean and jerking is about to follow, and it has. And I said, it's pretty easy. When Morgan's squat goes up, so does.
Yeah.
And it has.
Well, in the one-ton challenge program, we use the front squat as the big lift. Do you do that with most of your lifters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Front squatting is just much more like specific to weightlifting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like Morgan just hit that 227.
That's 500 for you counting at home.
500 pounds at 16, and so which means a big clean and jerk's coming.
Tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. So those are big. Pulling is important too. It is, especially if you got somebody who's way off. So like if their squat is 500 and their pull is 400, you need to like have a cycle where that's addressed. That's too far. 10%. Sometimes there's a lot of weightlifters out there who can squat more than they can pull.
Yeah.
Like Morgan, that's just a common trait. And so, but if they get more than 10%, if their squat becomes 10% more than their deadlift, you need to focus.
His squat, what's his best pull?
Now they're pretty same. It's like he deadlifts 550 and he squats 584. So it's like
How much of that do you just we talked about it yesterday a little bit, in his snatch being a much lower percentage than it would be on average for many lifters than his clean and jerk. Do you just look at that? You're like, look, let's just keep getting strong and stop worrying about shit
I
like
addressed
that.
it. We spent 6 months addressing that, because. Which now he's setting these PRs in the snatch, and now his his clean jerk is kind of like he's still going, but it's like a kilo at a time. But now he's having these big 5 kilo jumps on snatching. So we went way backwards, because I don't want to be that coach who just says, I got this freak athlete, he's gonna be awesome no matter what I do, so I'm just gonna go forwards.
Yeah.
I want him to, because number one, better form, better technique is going to be safer in the long run.
Yeah.
I think a couple of the mistakes that some of these other coaches have made, or some of these other athletes have made, that were really good, that were better, faster, younger, is that they didn't pay attention to the technique. So we went way backwards. I listened to Gatone and Pios Dimas. You got to put your A lot of coaches don't do this, but you need to put your pride aside. Listen to 3-time gold medalist.
He knows.
He knows. Yeah, he's not. Yeah. You don't become a 3-time.
He's got gold medals.
I feel like it'd be easy to put your pride aside.
Yeah.
Like, this guy obviously is better than anyone you've ever met.
Let this quote me on this. In the biggest problem at this point with American weightlifting is prideful coaching, and that's a fact. Like, it's coaches who it's so important to them that you guys in the world thinks that they're the best coach. They would rather you believe that.
Well, their careers are going to disintegrate
more than they would like to say, "Oh, I bet I could learn something from Piro Stimos." They would rather say, "You guys think that they're like the guru." Here's what I'm about. I'm about doing whatever I have to do to help my athletes get to where they need to be. And if that means I need to listen to a whole other coach about everything, I will.
Yeah, I feel like the coaches that are actually doing it. I mean, Waxman's such an awesome dude. Bergner was like the first guy that came out and just started teaching everybody.
Yeah.
And then, like always, the first guy that busts through the door, people were like, "Bergner warm-up's fucking stupid. We don't need." And it was like, dude, the guy's just teaching weightlifting. And
calm down.
He's got 75 people at a seminar every weekend. I think he's doing okay.
I've even had mentors that would have said that, but I'm like, you need to know the context behind what he's doing. Like, if you sit down and talk to Waxman or Bergner, and you ask them why they do certain things, you'll understand. I have. Luckily, I was never the guy. My earlier mentors thought that you never worry about trying to pull up high. That the goal is to open the hips and then get under the bar, which I agree. But then you sit down and talk to Sean and talk to Bergner, they would agree that, that it's not necessarily how high. It's about, peaking it and going, It's about perfect timing. Mm-hmm. And, they do this drill to strengthen the muscles they're used to pull under. And so when you start to contextualize what they're saying, you're like, oh, but don't be. That's another thing. They get so damn cocky. Like, you made me cuss now, but like you get so arrogant that they won't sit down and ask. They'd rather just go on some message board and spout off about Bergner or Waxman without knowing why they say what they say.
Like, you were talking about absolutes a minute ago, and then you made the example about the Bergner warm up, saying like it sucks. Like, anytime I hear like these all or nothing statements,
I hate that.
The absolutes, like that thing sucks. I'm like, what? Really? Like, okay, I kind of know what you're getting at, but like, what are the pros and cons in all these different situations? Like, if you can't look at something and say, well, it'll probably work in this situation with these types of people, but not really in this other situation. I like this about it, but I don't like that about it. Like, if you can't like break it down into like this nuanced analysis, then you don't really know what you're talking about at the higher levels.
Most people don't, dude. I just want to ask, all you got to do is this: is like, has Bergner and has Waxman produced results with their athletes? Absolutely. 100%.
Dude, Bergner's doing it in the middle of the desert in the same way that you're doing it here in the middle of Louisville. Like,
in his garage.
Dude, when we used to go up there.
I love training in his garage.
His garage is the best.
Yeah. I wish I had his garage.
I know.
Yeah.
There's like the first time I went there, I visited San Diego, and it was like I borrowed a friend's car to drive an hour out to his place just because it was like I reached the Mecca. Like, I made it. I'm in the middle of the desert overlooking these gorgeous hills. And it's like, this is just where Olympians train.
I'm slamming bars with...
I did it. I made it. It was the coolest experience ever. And Bergner, you walk up, you can't not work out hard there because at 9 a.m. every day, those old dudes show up and will make you look bad. Like, he's got the old geezers training in there at 9 a.m. every day, getting after it, sprinting hills, rolling wheelbarrows up hills, hitting the battle ropes. Like, they're crushing it in there. And then... the kids show up and start slanging weights around.
Dude, he's an absolute role model in that respect. Like, I fucking totally hope when I'm like in my 70s that I have like my 6 or 8 like other 70-year-old bros coming over to fucking do like broken weightlifting in my garage with me, and we're all just hanging out having a good time. As like
stay in the shape.
And this is his term. Like, he calls that group the Geezers. Like, he's like the Geezer weightlifting club. They got t-shirts for the whole thing. Like what a fucking cool thing. Dude, you're still training with your buddies when you're 70 years old. That's awesome.